Nkeera ku makya ne bannange ne tugenda ffenna ne tugaleeta. Awo ne tukomawo ne tulongoosa.
This is the way people routinely collect water all over the world. Today, more than 1 billion people suffer from a lack of access to clean drinking water, and the trend is getting worse. In the last 100 years, the world population has tripled, but world water consumption is up 600%. This means places like the Great Lakes region are growing in value. The Great Lakes contain 20% of the Earth's fresh surface water, and they are the source of 80% of the water consumed by the whole U.S.
Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, the Great Lakes region, we are so very wealthy with water. Some ways that we reconnect people to water are through film, through art, through celebrating World Water Day, doing monthly beach cleanups, doing community events, teaching people about bottled water and tap water use.
The thing about connection, when it came, I really didn't think it would be that big. All I wanted was my students to have somebody else in another culture, in another country, to be friends. In the year of 5, I came home for my father's memorial. Father Gerald from Malagi had a concert. So when I developed my pictures of the concert, I showed it to my students. I said, look, when I went home, I met these kids. Can we write to them? I said, sure, write.
Water is clean, water is cool, but you shouldn't have to walk miles from school to get it.
I feel bad about people who are less fortunate and don't have clean water like the people in Uganda.
The word that came out the most, we have to fetch water twice a day. My students go, what is fetch water? You know, that's what opened up the whole thing.
It takes students 30 minutes from the dormitories to the borehole, the nearest borehole. If the students go to the closest borehole and they find that it is dried up, the next borehole can take them 2 hours to and fro to collect water.
A jerry can is a yellow container that is used to haul water back and forth on the daily walk for water.
Yeah, I have jerry cans. You can't do away without jerry cans.
I went to Malagi because I met Teddy, learned that kids there had no running water, and knew I had to do something about it.
She's bold. She can be very bold, which is good, especially if she believes in something.
of happiness. When people bring leaves, happiness of the highest order. They are so happy. You saw that young tiny baby class trying to dance.
We have about 700 students, 700 children, lovely children. Many of them have lost parents, maybe over 200 of them, they don't have parents.
Malagi is a village in Uganda's Luwero district, 40 miles north of the capital, Kampala. A little bit of the land in Uganda is being preserved in parks, but all the rest has been redeveloped for agriculture. There's a trading center in the Luwero district. To get there, people can walk down the dirt roads or take a boda. These motorcycle taxis are the main mode of transportation in Uganda. In the rest of Malagi, people generally live in huts. Just about everybody owns or rents a plot of land for subsistence farming. Religion is also a big part of the people's lives. St. Bonaventure is a Catholic church, as well as a school, orphanage, and clinic.
We have poverty which is eating our society.
And then you must preach to them that God is good, God loves you, and He wants to be happy. But inside my heart, I know that these people are not happy.
Very many are getting disease at an early age. Like even me who is talking, I have a kid suffering from typhoid.
Here in this Luwero Health Center, about 50% of the patients we see as outpatients come here because of malaria. Since we are still a developing country, we still have gaps in the way we live, in terms of housing, in terms of nutrition, in terms of access to safe and clean water, in terms of other preventive aspects.
Today they are totally marginalized, the rural people. They don't stand a chance. People have access to easy money in the urban, which is not the case to the rural areas. Urban is really is on a day-to-day basis on what we can term as primitive capitalism, primitive accumulation of wealth. When we talk about water, for example, water, all these priorities, clean water, the first people to be thought of are the urban people, not the rural people.
Our people depend on rainy water, which is collected in the swamps, where they make wells, communal wells, where they go and collect water. And this water is not always clean, and with that people get sick.
I do also grow food, matoke, vegetables. Presently, you don't find vegetables with me because it has been very dry.
So there is a future danger when it comes to water. As rain seasons becomes minimal and those take the upper hand, in the future there is a problem. Even today we are in a total crisis when it comes to water. During my childhood, I did not witness any spring drying up. Today, it's very rampant.
I think the reason as to why water sources dry up is that at times they put up those water sources without undertaking surveys. They're not sure of whether the place has water, they're not sure of the water table.
We found out the history of this non-working borehole and found out that years ago, some of the political leaders were going around just digging holes for people to get election votes. And the borehole never worked.
Of course, we have plans of increasing the production of water, but these are gradual processes because the money doesn't come instantly. So we have been finding a problem of electricity, and when it comes, and it has really been so unreliable.
That's why I think most of the industries in Uganda are not developing because power is unstable.
Boreholes, that is the most used system because it works in villages where there is no electricity.
Drink Local Drink Tap decided to fly to Uganda to design a project where we will be building a borehole for St. Bonaventure School. We have organized a water committee with the community so that ongoing sanitation and hygiene classes can be held.
It is very important to have a water user committee for each particular source. Their major role is to educate people about the safe water chain.
We have community ownership.
I am the most worried person. And it is my prayer, as I said in the meeting, that we get this water in the compound for our children.
We had to go across the street, still on school grounds, and find a location there after searching all day. See this second big palm here? Right behind those trees, there's water, we think.
We are in an age of the world where focusing on ourselves seems to trump at times what's better for not only the local community, but the community at large. And to Erin, she just has a hard time reconciling that.
It's not right that kids have to walk every day miles to get water that makes them sick. And I don't think that people who have things should feel guilty about the way that they live, but there's a need to open yourself to the world and understand that there are people suffering. And we have the ability, many of us have the ability to help fill these gaps and help people live.
When she sees the kids, everything we take for granted, they just don't have. And you know, I just think there's a part in Erin that wants to change that in any little way she can.
After nearly 2 years of fundraising, DLDT was able to start work at St. Bonaventure School.
We woke up to the arrival of a huge drilling truck called the Drill King that arrived and took an entire day just to get in place to start drilling the following day. The sound of the drill was very, very loud. The kids came running, and some people stayed there all day.
temporary casings are placed into the ground when the original drilling is done. And then plastic casings with slits in them are placed inside the temporary casings to allow water, but not all of the particles from the surrounding soil and rock. Once the entire 60 meters is filled, gravel is dumped into those slots around the permanent casings, which helps filter that water which gets pumped up into the borehole handle. The casings that we used should last about 200 years. The first water that came out from the new water source was muddy and brown, but it was still very exciting because we knew we were still getting to the point where there would be clear and clean water. We were very excited to hear that the water quality test came back okay. We tested for many things, and it is very safe for people to drink right out of the borehole. The estimated amount of water that the borehole could potentially produce is about 4,000 liters an hour, which could potentially serve 100,000 people. No snake. Before the cement dried, we asked all of the boarders, some of the fathers, some of the teachers, and some of our filmmakers and photographers who were there at the site to place all of their thumbprints on the borehole to create a sense of ownership for the borehole and a sense of celebration. It was a very exciting day. Curing the borehole took a few days. What that means is really making sure that the cement stays moist enough to cure correctly and harden correctly so that it does not crack. The last few pieces of equipment to go on the borehole were the handle and the spout, which was really exciting to see and kind of finalized everything.
Just make one straw like this. If water comes.
The first pump of water did not exactly happen when we expected it to. I grabbed Father Matthias to run up there and pump at least a few pumps with me so that we could enjoy that together. And we did, and he was very, very happy. He said it was holy water, blessing the crowd that was watching. What did he say?
Blessed holy water.
We gave the gift of about 30 jerry cans to the boarders who are staying at St. Bonaventure, and the idea was to provide clean, new, safe carrying containers for some of the children that we were able to serve. These were the first jerry cans to be filled by this new source. We had our first water committee meeting, and Irene, our Ugandan project manager, was in charge of getting materials together for the students to have and the teachers to have for their classrooms so that they can then start to sensitize the rest of the community within the school and parish about sanitation and hygiene. We had the meeting down here by the borehole and talked to the students about cleaning their jerry cans regularly, not playing in or around the borehole, and also just the importance of maintaining the area around the borehole, planting grass to help erosion problems, and also picking up trash and not littering. And everything was then watered from jerry cans from our new borehole.
That was the most exciting thing for the summer, seeing that water come through and telling me all the stories about how it has changed them. That was the, you should have heard this. And we talked and talked, and they promised, Madam, we promise we are going to take care of it. Madam, we promise we'll go pick up, we'll make everybody aware of our water. And I think the students at Stokes are so proud. When I told them and we went to Flickr to see the pictures and they go, wow, they really have water? I said, yes, they do. And you helped make the change. In your small way, you helped make the change to these 600 kids. You know, that I think that's the best way I can make it. How little steps can make a big impact on somebody's lives, far away. And I think students learned that when the community comes together and do things together, they can move mountains.
It is so great that we have got some good people with a good heart who have done such a project in our place.
My philosophy is love and serve. Amare et servire.
I think when she sees anybody suffering, she's kind of like her dad, because they just figure out a way to get it done, and they're not going to let it go without seeing it to the end.
The developed world almost has an obligation to share the knowledge and tools that it has with the third world, so the third world can protect their water sources as they're developing, instead of it being too late someday for them to have safe water.
Munsi yaffe Uganda mwe tweyagalira, mulimu ebirungi bingi n'ebizibu. Bamulekwa bangi ne bakateyamba, ffenna tukimanyi endwadde ziri bulala yamba. Yamba oyo Mukama agamba, oyo goyambye mu buzibu, ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onafuna bingi. Tutambulire mukwere egolokofu yamba. Yamba oyo Mukama agamba, oyo goyambye mu buzibu, ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onafuna bingi. Tutambulire mukwere egolokofu. Kungudo abaana n'obasangako, ku kasasiro mwe bajja kyokulya. Mu nsi yaffe Uganda kino kiri bubi, waayo gwe kyolina eryo oyo Omuganda oyamba. Yamba oyo Mukama agamba, oyo goyambye mu buzibu, ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onafuna bingi. Tutambulire mukubale egolokofu yamba. Yamba oyo Mukama agamba, oyo goyambye mu buzibu, ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onafuna bingi. Tutambulire mukubale egolokofu. Mu Bayibuli kino kyawandiikibwa bulungi, omukazi omwavu eyawa eppeesa lye, ekyo eyali alina wamasiimibwa omutonzi. Yamba oyo atalina empeera ojja kugifuna yamba. Yamba oyo Mukama agamba, oyo goyambye mu buzibu, ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onofuna bingi tutambulire mukole egolokofu yamba oyo mukama agamba oyo gwoyambye mu buzibu ekyo kyowaddeyo ebirungi onofuna bingi tutambulire mukole egolokofu